It is often claimed that separate religious education is divisive and prevents social cohesion. But in fact, the opposite is true. If someone has a sound grounding in their own religious tradition, it reinforces their sense of identity and gives them a strong basis for their social interaction with the wider community. Far from alienating them, it actually makes it easier for them to relate to other people in a positive way. Problems of identity and insecurity, which often lead to antisocial and criminal behavior, tend to occur in young people who do not have a strong grounding in their own religious tradition and become confused about how they fit into the society they live in. This is not the case with young men and women who are secure in their own religious identity. Not one of the Muslims convicted in Britain on terrorism charges has been a properly educated Muslim. The same can be said of the leaders they follow. For instance, Osama bin Laden was an engineer, and Zawahiri is a medical doctor by training. A lot is said against the madrasa system where Islamic studies are taught, and yet it has been accused of abetting terrorism. Yet no graduate from a British madrasa has yet to be accused of any terrorist activity. It is in fact true to say that most of those involved in these outrages have had very little knowledge of Islam at all, often just bits and pieces picked up second-hand through the internet or from very one-sided extremist tracts. The infamous training camps we hear so much about do not provide education in Islam. They are geared towards militant activism backed up by Islamic slogans. The point I'm making is that proper Islamic education in fact precludes terrorist activity, and lack of it leaves an open door for the exploitation and grooming of young and vulnerable Muslims towards a path of militant extremism. For this reason, properly constituted Islamic schools in Britain should be encouraged, not discouraged, given, of course, that they offer a thoroughly rounded education that grounds their pupils in the historical continuity of the country that is their home, and gives them all the tools they need for their future lives as British citizens. However, it is clear that only a small minority of Muslim children in Britain will ever be able to go to such schools. And so it is absolutely crucial that the needs of the great majority who go through the state school system should also be properly catered for. They should all be given proper instruction in the practice and teachings of Islam. This will make them confident of their Islamic identity in the British context and enable them to take their place in wider society as British Muslims. Because it is vital that Muslim children within the state school system receive proper Islamic instruction, there must be a sufficient number of properly trained Muslim teachers to deliver it, and the government must make the necessary funding available for this to happen. This may well be the single most important step that can be taken to minimize the likelihood of any future homegrown terrorism on the part of British Muslims.